Are you serious? Watching the field of about 17 drivers taking to the field here in the streets of Albert Park down in Australia. This could prove to be a very interesting event because this track has been queuing up cars and spinning them out like nobody's business. It's been a very chaotic week. Yesterday in the Dev race, only 10 drivers finished out of a 20-car field. Yesterday in the XRL race, only 11 drivers finished out of a 20-car field. And that's not to mention that we were seeing anywhere between 5 and 7 DNFs across the entirety of qualifying. Now, in today's broadcast booth, just to help because I am not capable enough to cover all this on my own, I've been able to bring in a co-commentator. I want to welcome you to XRL Raptor. Raptor, you were one of the partakers in yesterday's realistic race. What can we expect today here at Australia now for X3?
Well, I think that judging by the field, I think we can expect to see a very competitive race. Some of the standouts to me today are going to be in the Alpine camp with XRL Fiend and Constant Jet. I would also look at, to be completely honest, I would look at Snake and Fratters in the McLaren camp to pull off something special today. But other than that, I think it's going to be a really, really competitive field, and I expect to see a lot of very tight wheel-to-wheel racing going on today.
Indeed, we could be looking at a very interesting event, and you bring up some good points. Drivers like Snake and Fratters have not had the season that they've wanted to so far. It's been a rough year for them. They have gotten points, but no victories for two long-standing veterans in the X3 division. So for Snake and Fratters, this could be a good chance to turn it around. No one's really been looking at them or expecting a lot out of them. This would be a perfect chance for it to happen. Other thing to consider, though, is that, again, the championship fight continues to move on. We still have 3 championship contenders in play: XRL Gusty, Stone Shuffle, and WIX Spark. Seems like we're having trouble with keeping people in the lobby, though, because he had 17 earlier and it's dropping down to 15, so it may be a delayed start here. But the championship fight at the front, only 2 points separate Stone Shuffle from Chubby Spark at the head of the field right now in the Drivers' Championship. Then we get the Manufacturers' Championship. There's still an active fight going on between the Ferrari and Aston Martin camp, but as the season has gone on, it seems like that fight is gradually shifting more and more in the favor of the Ferrari camp. We'll go over the Constructors and Drivers' Championship with a little bit more finesse later on in the broadcast, in between qualifying and the race start itself. But as it stands right now, looks like we should be able to get about 16 to 17 people in today's race. So that means we will be looking at only 1 or 2 guys getting knocked out in Q3. With the way this track's been acting, we could be looking at a scenario where it all comes down to who survives and who doesn't going into Q2.
One driver that I do want to make real quick mention about that has been one of the standouts during his tenure in XRL is Jalebend in the Haas. This is proven time and time again to be one of his stronger tracks, so I would also look for him to make a very positive statement here as well today.
Make an interesting point. We'll definitely keep an eye open on him. Other driver to watch would be Ocean Lion in the Williams. He got a chance to broadcast the development race yesterday. Did a very good job covering that. Now he has, in a similar position to where we are right now, experience watching a race before going into it So this could be very interesting seeing what he might be able to take away going into the event. And then there is one other driver, and I've talked about him hit and miss throughout the entire season. Oh, and now Herbago's finally joined. Sweet, and Punitive Shoe has finally joined as well. But anyways, Constant Jet in the Alpine, still looking for his first driver point this season. He has gone this entire season, has not been able to end up finishing in the top 10 or get A points this season. This could be a chance for him to turn around. If he can survive until races end, he may have a chance to make it into the top 10 finishing spots.
Indeed, and we now see the timer starting to count down, about 20 seconds until the start of Q1.
Big thing to consider about Australia, this circuit, although there are 3 different DRS zones here, there aren't really any good overtaking opportunities. Even with DRS, you basically are required to get a much better run off of the corner than the driver ahead of you and be able to stay in their draft throughout the entire straightaway. And even then, that might put you alongside of them. And more often than not, drivers on the outside seem to actually have a good defensive run against someone lunging up on the inside because there's a little bit more track, it's a little bit wider in some of the corners here, and they can kind of make it nice and straight exit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That was proven time and time again in XRL yesterday, all across the field. It made for a couple of great battles, and it also made for quite a few severe incidents involving multiple drivers at a time coming into those sections, because all those drivers are jockeying to get the best possible position, and things happen.
Yeah, your teammate in that race, Zola, was hanging on to a top 5 position almost the entire day through. Only reason it didn't come down was because of a bunch of time penalties. But Zola probably held up about 3/4 of the field for about half of the race because it didn't matter what anyone else could do. The McLaren had good enough straight line speed, and he was just good enough on corner exit. No one could really get by him.
Well, he had a very solid run yesterday. I mean, he's an incredible driver, great teammate. As a fellow McLaren driver, I couldn't ask for better than what I've got. But it's all a matter of how the season proceeds for him and myself going forward. But turning our attention to the start of Q1. Seeing Herbago getting ready to come out of the pit lane. XRL X3 also coming out for Alfa Romeo.
Interesting decision in the Alfa Romeo camp for Veloce. He has the medium tires equipped, so he's trying to save a set of softs either for use in Q2 or for use in the race itself. This could be an interesting strategy if he's honestly this confident in his car's ability.
Well, we saw in XRL yesterday, we saw a lot of soft tire starts and drivers either going with the soft medium strategy or the soft medium soft strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here today. I'm willing to bet a lot of drivers are going to go for a soft medium soft or the soft medium. Joab End coming out as well for Haas. Boothie now out for Aston Martin. Irons out.
He's not the only one.
Irons out as well.
Irons has had an honestly fantastic season considering that he missed a lot of points early in the season. Some bad results and some penalties have taken him out of the championship fight, but he has had a very strong battle with Schumacher SF7 and XRL Fiend for 4th in the championship battle, and right now he might not be the driver in 4th, but I think all things considered he's going to be the favorite to take home 4th in the driver's title by season's end.
Alfa Romeo's coming across the start-finish line 1-2. Looks like Veloce is offering Collie Boy a bit of a tow here. Let's see what they're able to do with that.
The good news for Collie Boy is that Veloce is far enough ahead that going
Veloce with a little bit of a back-end squabble coming out of 5.
But yeah, as I was saying, Collie Boy is far enough off the back of Veloce right now going through Sector 2 that the soft tires that Collie Boy has, he can take full use of them, try to close in on his teammate, and then get a draft off of him on the DRS sections at the end of Sector 2 and at the end of the lap. I'll be interested to see if they'll be able to time that out well enough, though.
Good exit out of chicane for Veloce accelerating down the straight. Veloce very smooth on the power as well.
Collie Boy closed right up, so we're going to see medium tire time and a soft tire time at almost the exact same point. At the top, it will be Collie Boy, so Veloci must have invalidated somewhere on that lap. But Collie Boy goes to the top with a 123.383. A bit of a toe on the front straightaway definitely helped him out a bit there.
Jaleband coming very close to matching him with a 123.555 for P2.
Sadly, Boothie has invalidated his lap, so with that in mind, it looks like it will be V8 Irons who will be the next driver to come across the line and try to get a time in. Well, I almost call him XRL Irons. His name is still V8 Irons, but he had been making
Irons
remarks
to the top of the 123.074 for the fastest lap of the session.
All right, now the focus goes to Fiend, who is one of Irons' rival for 4th in the Drivers' Championship fight. Also of note, Irons and Boothie still trying to maximize points for the Aston Martin team and dig them out of the small hole that they found themselves in over the last few events. Fiend coming to the last 2 corners now in the Alpine. To the line for Fiend, it will be a 123.009, almost a 23 flat, right to the top. Outstanding job. Now we will finally see Veloce come across the line. Low on fuel, he will set a lap time 123.495, so relatively competitive considering that he's on the medium tire compound.
If he had run that on the softs, I would imagine he'd be looking at mid-122s. If I had to take a guess, I would say mid-122s he would come out at. Let's see.
Boothie and Fratters both in the middle of laps right now. Fratters wraps up his lap, but it's not a great one. 126.183. There's a lot of time to be found in that lap, without a doubt.
Taking a look at Stone Shuffle here, currently P19 as he's coming through Sector 1, looking very strong. And Fratters is out.
An accident for Fratters means that he will be the first DNF of the session. He had not set a great lap time. He was trying to make it up, and it's all gone bad for him off of turn number 5.
Let's see if we can get Fratters in here real quick. Figure out what's going on here. It doesn't look as though I have a way to... There we go.
I always just look them up. Through either recently played with or under just find someone. Normally prefer recently played with. Oh, well, all right. I guess I'll try to get him in here myself then. Alright, well, we turn our focus back onto the racetrack here. Air Max and Chubby Spark both in the middle of laps right now. But of note, this is XR Augusti. He's coming to the end of his out lap. So, and here comes Fratters coming into the party right now. Fratters, go ahead and include your audio. Accident coming out of turn 5. What happened out there?
I don't know. I'm just rubbish. There's no other way to put it. No practice. too busy with other things. Been playing Forza a lot, so if I had my Subaru, I'd have this, but unfortunately a McLaren F1 car is not quite the same, and it's not as good as drifting as I expected it to. So I think the best way to put it, without using too much profanity, is I am donkey bollocks at this race and at this track. So the race is going to be fun.
Well,
Do you think you have any ability to make it back up into the points in the race?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no. I mean, what other answer were you really expecting, really?
we were expecting a
I
very
respect your
emphatic
honesty.
yes.
If I get points in this race, it'll
and
be an absolute miracle.
Schumacher's around. Schumacher's around, and into the outside wall looks to be turn 7. I apologize. Hate to cut you guys off.
Oh, he's cut someone off on the lap. Ooh.
Oh my. Oh my.
That looked like it was 11. I don't think 11 will be that happy with it.
Oh dear. Looks like he'll be with me at the lounge for this
Well,
race.
Schumacher still has a bit more than 8 minutes left to get into the pit lane, repair the front wing, and go for another lap. But yeah, not looking great. Same scenario as you. Not a good first lap. Went for a faster one and just went around on him.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't good. That I think that has to be a pretty miffed if I was him. Not good at all.
Well, Fratters, I do want to say thank you for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Shame to see you out this early in qualifying. I would appreciate your honesty, but I honestly hope you're dead wrong and that you will have a chance to at least fight for it.
I mean, my qualifying was going to end in about 7 minutes' time anyway, so it wasn't going to go much further than that, let's be honest.
Alright, well, thanks for jumping in anyways. As we turn our focus back to the racetrack, it looks like it is a Williams that has had an incident there at the end of Sector 2 in the DRS straight, although he is starting to move now, but that front wing's been ripped off. Flavor also ripped his front wing off. We're going to go ahead, be silent in the booth, and ride for a full lap on board the McLaren of XRL Snake, see what he can do here in the McLaren at Australia. Snake puts down a lap time, 1:23.883. That's good enough for 11th right now. Of note, Aeromax has tried to do the same strategy as Veloce, but Max was not fast enough on the medium tires. He is down in the 126s. And looking at the timesheets right now, it seems to me that if you're in the 123s, you're safe for Q2. Oh, and Punitive Shoes had an incident coming out of turn 2.
It's at almost a dead stop in the middle of the track. I'm not quite sure what happened. This looks like he may have just had a bit of a spin.
Front wing damage, the left front end plate knocked off the car, so he's made contact with something. I don't know if maybe the car bouncing over the curbs might have caused damage to the wing, or if he may have tapped the wall there. But this will not be a lap I imagine he'll stick with. He has about 5.5 minutes to do it. It takes you about 4 3.5 minutes to get a lap in right now. So, and that's assuming nothing goes wrong. So I think Shu has enough time to make it to pit lane, get a new wing on, get new tires on, and go for another shot at this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Schumacher has finally repaired his front wing. He's in the middle of a lap right now. A bit of a twitch there, going through 1-2. He opens up the DRS and is flying down the second straightaway. Now comes out of turn 3, goes to turn 4, into turn 5. This has been a problem corner for a lot of drivers today, this entire weekend, honestly. But he'll navigate without issue.
Just taking real quick note, V8 Irons on a absolute flyer now, up 0.2 of a second on his time, possibly looking to supplant Fiend out of pole.
Could definitely be done. There's not really a whole lot of value in trying to get a greater time in Q1 or Q2 fighting for the top, but Irons might be trying to go for a bit of a psychological advantage against Fiend. Again, those two are rivals when it comes to 4th place in the championship, and Irons is also trying to lock up the manufacturer's title for Aston Martin as well.
And he's actually going to come across a full second and a tenth down on his time. His sector 2 looked extremely strong. Just not sure what happened in sector 3, which seems to be where he lost the majority of his time.
Schumacher has just jumped up to 123.223, so at this moment it's only up to Flavor and Punitive Shu to set lap times. Airmax, who is Flavor's teammate, is on the outside looking in. AlphaTauris have not had great luck in qualifying in X3. We've seen more often than any other team, they fail to advance out of Q3, and we hardly ever see them in Q2.
Now, Airmax is up 1.3 seconds on his time on the medium compounded P18. So I don't know that I would write him off just yet.
Collie below the tires in the pits. Airmax crosses the line. 123.968. That puts him
up.
And that just barely puts him on the bubble with his teammate Flavor now on the outside looking in. Flavor needs to improve by 0.3. Constant Jet is on an outlap right now, about to go for a flyer, as is Punitive Shu, although Shu still has to circle around most of the circuit before he can get flying.
Flavor up a
Irons!
Get him, son.
He waited. Irons waited a bit. I'm not sure if there was something wrong Sector 3 on his prior section or not, but this lap, he's gone fast enough to break the 23 barriers, 122.789. So that should easily lock up the top spot for him here in Q1.
And Flavor up 0.3 of a second on his time as well.
But he's invalidated. The good news for Flavor, though, is that it doesn't look like he's out of fuel yet, so he might be able to go for one more flyer. He is a little bit lower on ERS, though, than I imagine he'd like to be, but he will get one more shot at this here. Constant Jet in the middle of the lap as well. Jet needs to improve by about 0.8 if he wants to make it into Q2. He's backing out.
Oh, and Flavor's into the wall, and he's out. He's out.
And that will take him out. Oh, wow, that was right in front of Punitive Shu, and Shu, who's in the middle of a flying lap on his own, may have to back out. Stone Shuffle has had, no, that's not Stone Shuffle, I'm sorry. That is, it's Mercedes of Herbago has had an incident of his own there in Sector 2, ripped the entire front wing off of his car.
Let me try to grab Flavor real quick. And let's see.
41 seconds left in the session. Constant Jet and Punitive Shu trying to run down Airmax. Shu coming to the line very shortly here. Jet still back there in Sector 2, but Shu coming through the last two corners. He will have enough time to go for another flyer if he so desires. At the line in the Haas. 124.690, that's not fast enough. He needs to improve by about 7/10. Constant Jet is down on his own last time. So Jet needs to find a bunch of time here in the final sector. He's low on fuel, so the car is the lightest that's going to get. The time is up in the session. Coming to the line for Constant Jet. Will he be able to squeeze Air Max out? The answer, no. Only a 124.3. He's still 4/10 off of Air Max. What can Shu do? Shu is up by 4/10 at the end of Sector 1 alone. He needs to improve by about 7/10 overall to beat Air Max.
I'm interested to see what this Sector 2 time is. Up to almost 7/10 on his time. That'll be good. That'll be good enough to get him there. He just needs about another 10th to pad himself, and he can knock Air Max out of P15.
The fuel light is flashing, so that Haas is at the lightest it's going to be. He cannot afford to make a mistake. Coming into the last corner now. Okay. 122.172, so that eradicates Irons and Fiend's time, and Shu is in. By 14 thousandths of a second, Shu squeezes Air Max out. And for the AlphaTauri drivers, another race where neither AlphaTauri driver will make it out of Q1. All right, coming into the party right now is XRL Flavor. Flavor, go ahead and include your audio. Accident there. What happened to you out qualifying?
I don't know. Coming into the race lobby, I couldn't get my controller to work, so I couldn't get my sound. I had to get another controller. I had to delay the start slightly. Thank you to everyone for that. My wheel doesn't feel right where I'm sitting. Just didn't feel right, and I was just pushing on old tyres that I'd already done 3 or 4 laps just to try and get faster, and obviously I didn't do it. Struggled, made a massive mistake and crashed the car.
Yeah. Now from our position up here in the booth, it looked like you had hooked the outside curb on the exit of Forest, where what it looked like.
Yeah, bang on. Yeah, definitely. Just going in the corner. I was in the wrong angle, I think, and I clipped it and just trying to push too hard. Writing checks that I couldn't cash, to be honest.
That's always been, as one driver to another, that's always been a fairly troublesome section. If you don't get it just right, you'll come around every time. So that's completely understandable. Going forward into the race, do you think that this is going to be a recoverable situation for you?
Yeah, I think obviously start near the back, try and just go as long as I can on a set of tyres, and try and just go up the field a little bit like I always do. If I can stay alive and stay penalty free, have a chance of finishing 10 everybody does, I think. But just give it my best shot, to be honest. This week I thought I've driven really well around here, to be honest. Absolutely. I've just made too many mistakes at the same time. You know what I mean? Including last night's race, I drove fantastically. I was right up with the pace, and then just mistakes come in, and that's consistency and more time on the wheel, I think.
Right, well, Flavor, it looked, at least looking over the weekend, it's a 50-50 chance for you to get points. I like those odds. You were able to bring home 9th place in the Dev race yesterday, although you weren't able to finish realistic last night. I would put money that you'll at least fight for points paying positions, though.
Nice one. Well, I appreciate that, and I'll try and do that for you. I'll try my best to make that come true for you.
Well, we will be looking forward to seeing you write a cashier's check and taking it to the bank today.
Let's see if the cashier is available, mate. Cashier number 2, please. Right. Cheers, boys.
All right, cheers.
Great comms, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
In a bit.
All right, now we begin to turn our focus back onto the racetrack. A little bit of Ferrari shenanigans going on right now. Shelby Spark on an outlap on the softs. He is in the draft of his teammate Schumacher SF7, so he might try to get a bit of a pull to try and hide the actual ability that he's going to try and do. Shelby Spark has made a habit in this season. During Q2, he'll go out, says first flying lap on soft tire compounds, but will not touch ERS at all that entire time. Then he will come into the pits, come back out a little bit later with the medium tires on and start laying on the ERS. But considering how short the straightaways here, this first lap might honestly be better than the second one, even without the ERS advantage.
And there's a really good shot of that being true, because we've seen him time and time again across XRL as a dark horse when it comes to setting lap times. For the times he set.
Oh, and Hermago hard into the wall. Hermago has had a spin, a nasty spin coming onto the third DRS straight, ripped the entire front wing off the car, but it looks like he'll be able to continue.
It's a very, very unfortunate situation for him, as he's got high hopes when it comes to putting in a good qualifying time to be able to compete with the rest of the field. Valache coming into the pit lane now, as well as we see a McLaren go out, that being the McLaren of XRL Snake coming out onto the track on the medium compound to start his run.
No one has got a lap in yet on the mediums, although Collie Boy is going to try. Interesting thing for Veloce, though, he was the very first driver to get onto the circuit and aborted very early on, so all that time saved early on kind of wasted. I'm not sure if there was something wrong with the setup on the car, or if he may have knocked something during his out lap, but either way, a lot of valuable extra time that he gained lost early on in the session.
Absolutely. Coming up to P2 to take a look at Jaleb here. Time looking fairly strong as he comes around the final complex of corners. I'm going to call him for a mid 123.
In the line, soft tire compounds, it looks like a 123.635. Couldn't have called that much better. And he timed it well also, because now his teammate Punitive Shoe, along with Boothie in the accident. Oh, and a massive accident! Jalebin with a big accident coming across out of turn 2, and that's right in front of those cars coming out of pit lane. And Jalebin out of qualifying session 2 with a gigantic impact.
We'll try to get him in here real quick.
Well, while that happened, the two Ferraris, the Schumacher SF7 and Shelby Spark, finally came across the line. Not looking good for Shelby, though, at 128, so he'll definitely be looking for an improvement. Schumacher, though, at the top right now, 124.149, although we anticipate to see that time fall as this goes on. Collie Boy on the medium tire compound in the middle of the lap right now.
All right, and coming into the party right now, we have Jalebin. Jalebin, go ahead and please include your audio. Accident in turn 2 at the start of qualifying. Walk us through what happened for you.
Well, I mean, my first lap was a bank lap, and then I decided I had the ERS, and I felt comfortable to give me to go, so I just continued on. I was going to do back-to-back hot laps. Unfortunately, I went a little bit wide coming out of turn 2. When I got on the throttle, tire was in the grass, car went straight into the wall. Didn't even have time to react to it.
Gotcha. We've seen that happen to a couple drivers so far this weekend. Going forward into the race, what are your thoughts as far as the way the car's handling relative speed on track? How do you see the race working out, given everything you know about the car at this point in time?
I mean, the car feels good. Pretty happy with it. I think I got a pretty good strategy going into the race that I utilized in Dev yesterday for a P4 finish, so hoping that can carry over into this. And then I also have X2 this afternoon.
Gotcha. Well, we hope for the best for you. You are one of the drivers that we're keeping our eye on today to amaze us.
Gusty! One of your championship contenders! Gusty has had a massive accident of his own in the middle of his own flying lap now.
Insane, do you have anything for Jalebin?
Well, Well, no, it's interesting here that you believe that the same strategy from yesterday will work out today and bring you points finishes. Here's hoping you can make it work.
All right, well, hey, thanks for having me, guys. Hopefully next interview isn't for me dying.
Yes, sir. All right, we look forward to seeing how things work out for you. Thanks for joining us in the booth.
All right, cheers, guys.
All right. Now, let's see if we can get Gusty into the party. One of your championship contenders now going to have to pull himself out of a bad hole. Oh, and Herbago's around again! Same corner as last time, but this time he spins, arrests the spin before it gets too bad, and will not hit anything.
And Velace with a 122.161 to the top.
Herbago spins again. The tire is completely melted on the back, so he's going to have to take that set off and put another set on without a doubt. V8 irons, though, in the middle of the lap, as is XRL Fiend. Fiend's actually going to come around right by Herbago. Fiend trying to be what looks like will be the 7th driver to set a lap time in the session.
I don't think we're gonna get Gusty. I don't believe he has a mic. I don't think.
Well, rough run from one of your championship contenders. He'll have to dig himself out of a hole right at the start of the race. Fiend has crossed the line, the 22s with the 22.471. Now Irons is going to top that with the 22.467. So it seems like it's going to be Veloce versus Irons versus Fiend for the pole positions. Herbago finally gets the lap in, but it's only a 2:13.034. It's not even remotely close to being competitive. Ocean Lion's gone off circuit there in Sector 3, but it looks like he may have enough fuel to go for one more run here.
Stone Shuffle here on quite a bit of a run at the midpoint of Sector 3. Looks like we could see him come up into the top 5. Tentatively, I'm going to call him for a low. 123.
Now the final corner, he pops open the DRS, lays into the ERS, coming across the line. It'll be a 122.550, so a very solid time for Stone Shovel. It's good enough to put him in 4th.
Back to AKB in P14.
Herbago, another spin in the exact same part of the track. He has not been able to avoid having incidents. Every single lap he's done, except one in the last sector, has involved a spin or a crash coming onto that back DRS straight, or that 3rd DRS straight. And Herbago will abort on this set of tires and will come into the pits now, as the focus now goes to AKB, Ocean Lion, along with the Ferraris of Schumacher and Chubby Spark.
AKB coming around the final corner. Call it.
This will be interesting because Chubby's leading this. Chubby's leading this one. Chubby is leading this little duo between himself and Schumacher will get a good draft off of his teammate going down the main straightaway. Coming across the line for both of them.
123.887 for Chubby, good enough for P8.
Schumacher, 123.644, and they're both trying to do it on medium tire compounds. I definitely could see it happening right now, though.
Ocean Lion nearly cutting off the other Red Bull.
That'd be AKB, who's up in 5th right now at 23.2. At the moment, it seems like if you're in the 23s, you'll be fine, although that could change. Ocean Lion, Snake, and Punitive Shoe all have shown great qualifying prowess before and could really upend this.
Ocean Lion just needs to shave off a little under 2/10, and he's got Collie Boy knocked out of P9. Oh, massive collision by Ocean Lion into the outside wall, and that's gonna dash his hopes of seeing anything higher than P11. We're gonna try to get Ocean Lion in here, determine exactly what happened to him.
It's the same place that Herbago has been having his incidents. but this takes a little bit of the strain and pressure off of Collie Boy, because now there's Ocean Line and J11, both slower and will not have a chance to advance or set faster lap times. So now the two Ferraris and Collie Boy in the Alfa Romeo just trying to hold off Snake, Herbago, and Punitive Shoe right now.
So for a Q2 session fraught with incidents, this is getting a lot more interesting.
Right now, it looks like we may only see 9 drivers advance unless Snake, Herbago, and Punitive Shoe can turn it around. Snake in the middle of a lap right now in Sector 3. Punitive Shoe right now coming at the end of Sector 2 for 9.766, so Shoe may have a good lap going here. Snake is aborted. And with 1 minute 47 seconds left, that's it for Snake. Snake will not have a chance to get back on circuit and get another lap in. So Snake will not advance, so now it's up to Herbago and Punitive Shoe to try and squeeze Collie Boy and Chubby Spark out of the top 10. Here comes Shoe to the line.
And Shoe's going to jump up into P6.
And now Chubby Spark finds himself on the bubble. Collie Boy is on the outside looking in, but in Collie Boy's favor, he's on track for another lap. He's in, and now Chubby Spark is out, and Chubby is in pit lane, so Chubby's normal tire strategy has backfired on him, so 2 of our championship contenders will not advance into Q3 for the pole.
With less than a minute to go, Herbago's got to lay it all on the line, hoping he can post better than a 123.664 to knock Schumacher out of P9.
He needs to avoid making a mistake here on that Sector 3 DRS zone. He comes down. That's it. He's clear. Now he just needs to keep it all together. Can he squeeze the other Ferrari, a Schumacher SF7, out?
3/10 of a second up, coming through the end of Sector 2 into Sector 3.
Dive into the last 2 corners. Herbago trying to get both Mercedes into the pole shootout.
That's a low 123. And he's in there.
And both Ferraris are out.
Outstanding lap from Herbago there, good enough for P8.
And nobody is going to start in the top 10 positions on the medium tire compounds. The Ferrari strategy backfires. They will not be able to get into the top. Herbago, though, an outstanding lap, though, to say the least. He waited until the last possible moment to make it work. And boy, did he ever. We're only going to have 9 drivers fighting for the pole because J11's time was still competitive enough that had he not crashed out, he still would have made it in. So,
yeah, well,
crazy stuff here.
He'll still fortunately be locked into a P10 start, so that is going to work in his favor just a bit. It's going to be incumbent upon him just to navigate his way up through the field and do what he does best, and that's put pressure on the drivers ahead, force mistakes. He could still walk away from this with a solid finish. Something I would definitely not put past him.
Now, you're 100% right, and I think the driver who's really walking out of here very happy is Stone Shuffle. Took over the points lead finally after last week's race at Brazil, and now Stone Shuffle, the only one of the 3 championship contenders, making it into Q3, the pole shootout. This will give him a great launching pad point, because even if Stone Shuffle crashes out right at the start of qualifying, he'll be starting 9th. His nearest championship rival, Shelby, will be starting 12th. So, great job on the Mercedes team as a whole, getting both of their drivers into the pole shootout.
Yeah, but needless to say, quite a shakeup we've seen here in Q2. Just the entire session got put on its ear compared to who we who we would have normally expected to see in the top slots just completely been rearranged. It'll be interesting to see how Q3 develops.
Well, the 6 drivers that will not advance will be XRL Gusty, XRL Snake, Ocean Lion, Shelby Spark, Schumacher SF7, and 11. The 9 drivers that will advance will be Boothie 116, Harago 91, Punitive Shoe 381, IAKBI, Collie Boy, Stone Shuffle, XRL Fiend, V8 Irons, and Veloce. I'm going to be honest, I think it's going to be a shootout for the pole position between Veloce, holding off Irons, and Fiend. And again, I said this earlier, I do want to say this one more time. No one who made it into the final round qualifying set their time on the mediums. Everyone in the top 9 set their time on the soft tire compounds as well.
So that says to me that we're going to be looking at a bunch of soft, medium strategies. I think to run this race. To be completely honest, I think soft, medium, based on what I've seen from the drivers, is going to be the way to go.
Seems like a reasonable assumption to make. Just staying by right now, waiting to move on to the next round.
I just want to take a really brief moment to mention, for those of you that are new to watching the Extreme Racing Leagues, if you could be so kind, please take a moment to give us a like and a subscription to the channel. It's your subscriptions that help fund everything that the XRL does. I would also like to take a moment to mention the entire admin team and all the work that they do behind the scenes to help make the XRL possible.
I also do want to real quickly go ahead and give a little shout out to Kinsey Retro, who is covering the X1 race on the alternate channel right now. I'm not saying leave this to start watching that, though, but do want to give a little shout out to him. He's been a long-standing part of the XRL commentary and broadcasting team. His work has been outstanding, to say the least.
Is the lobby advancing for you?
No, it's not. Is it advancing for you?
Negative. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize.
Apparently, there are some people who have not readied up for the next round yet.
Oh, okay.
Mainly Boothie, Jalebin, and Air Max apparently have not readied up for the next round yet, apparently.
Gotcha.
And Boothie is deciding to try and do some biological weight reduction, and that's the reason why.
Oh my. Oh my. I'm gonna go ahead and make my predictions now. I'm gonna say we're gonna be looking at Veloce, Fiend, and Collie Boy in the top 3 slots at the end of Q3. Just based on the times we've seen thus far, I think those are going to be the big 3 at the front of the grid.
I think it's going to be Veloce, Fiend, and then Irons, with Collie Boy coming home 4th, and then Stone Shuffle will probably be 5th. Behind that, though, I'm not going to make any calls. I will say, though, that Boothie is there, and Boothie has made a habit of putting down some outstanding qualifying laps, though. He could very easily upset the entire grid.
This is very true. It'll be interesting to see how this whole thing develops. Given that we've seen turns 4 and 5, as well as turn 2 as potential trouble spots for drivers. It'll be interesting to see how they cope with that in race, especially when they're under pressure trying to defend position today.
All right, here we are. We're finally about to get underway. Good thing we ended Q1 a little earlier because we've ate up all that extra time in Q2 now. So. Apparently, Boothie is dealing with a case of food poisoning that he got over the weekend. He's still trying to get over that, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
Well, on the upshot, it is going to make the car lighter.
This is true, and hopefully that works. I also know there's been a lot of history of drivers who have had rough days due to sicknesses or issues getting into the car and putting in some great drives. So maybe this could be Boothie's day. Who knows?
That is very, very, very possible. Now at the start of Q3, here's going to be where the rubber really meets the road for these drivers in determining their final starting positions. As we see Velace and Pinduchu both coming out on the track.
So those two will be the first ones to get out onto the circuit here. Be a little bit before we see anyone else, I imagine. Nope, here we are already. Collie Boy is coming onto the circuit. He's going to be joined by V8 Irons, and now it's Herbago, who is also making the trek out of pit lane as well. So 5 of our 9 drivers on track, and now I'm seeing the other Mercedes. That would be Stone Shuffle, who is coming out. Is silent right now, waiting to see what people can do when they start clicking off laps. Boothie, AKB, and Fiend, all still in pit lane, have not yet made an attempt to get out onto the racetrack. It takes about 4.5 minutes to get a single flyer in, so I think for all these guys who are already on track, they'll have a chance to put in 3 laps if they so chose, assuming that they were going for 1 flyer, 1 out, and 1 in lap each time. All right, and now it looks like that is AKB and XRL Fiend are now beginning to come out of pit lane as we speak. And that's going to be a nice little break in the traffic. Herbago is flying with a nice fast line right now. Herbago is going to be very interesting to see what he can do because most of the laps he set in the first 2 qualifying sessions ended up with a spin or a crash. But when he sets a lap together, it's worked out well enough to get him to this point. So can he make it into even the top 2 starting positions? Can he just survive and keep the car alive going through Sector 3 is the real question, though.
Be interesting to see Velace looking very strong at the midpoint of Sector 3.
Pinduchu, he'll be the first driver to cross the line here. You can see him on the map, that little white dot. Shoot to the top, 123.103. He'll immediately be beaten XRL Veloce nearly a full second faster with the 122.166. So a great job on their part. Now Collie Boy crosses the line, 123.212. We'll now see that is V8 Irons cross the line, 122.151. We could see someone break the 22 barrier today.
And if that's going to be anyone, I'm willing to bet that that's going to be. Fiend is going to be the one. Fiend or Stone Shuffle is going to be the one to do it.
Herbago crosses with the 122.868. So now it goes to Stone Shuffle. He'll be the next driver to set a lap as AKB invalidated his. Rear wing pops open. Now across the line for Stone Shuffle will be a 1:22.791. That's the third best time thus far. So now the focus goes to AKB and Fiend. Fiend, a driver that a lot of us considered a championship contender earlier in the season, and he's definitely been the fastest driver on track when it comes to overall race pace. The problem is he's had a lot of issues trying to actually finish races. That win at Brazil last week absolutely turning his fortunes around in a fantastic way. I imagine with that newfound confidence, assuming it's applied properly, we should see him begin to improve a bit. And that's a Mercedes. Is that Herbago? Yes, Herbago has had an incident again coming onto that back stretch. The good news is he has a race at time, so it shouldn't compromise him that much.
Fiend looking very strong in Sector 3, came out of Sector 2 with almost a 49 dead. I'm willing to call him for a low 122, possibly high 121. I think he's going to be the one to do it.
AKB 124.496, not a great time for the Red Bull. Fiend crosses the line. You called it, 121.774.
The first driver to break the 122 barrier. Now it's going to be up to AKB coming around.
So if they have any good strategy calls in the Alfa Romeo pit, they will get Boy and Veloce getting out on the circuit slightly one after another, and Boy will intentionally overfuel and abort his first lap just so he can give Veloce a good draft down the main straight and the second DRS straight, and then let Veloce go ham after that. That's realistically, I think, the best chance that Veloce will have to try and beat Fiend for the pole.
Absolutely, and AKB up 200s on his time entering Sector 3. Don't think
he's invalidated, though.
Yeah, gotcha. I just see that now.
Just a bit over halfway.
Oh, and Herbago's around
session.
the outside wall. Oh,
another spin, and Herbago's.
I think he may have taken.
Yeah.
Oh, just horrible situation for Herbago there.
It could be worse, though, because Herbago has got a time in at the 122.868. So even if he's not able to get another lap in, he has at least recorded a time. I think for Herbago, the big issue is just going to be surviving until the end of the race, considering that he's only gotten, I think he's turned about 10 laps thus far across Q1, Q2, Q3, and he's only been able to complete 3 of them without a spin or an accident on that section of the racetrack.
Indeed, kind of harkens back to my qualifying in XRL yesterday. Just multiple problems in qualifying. However, the race did pan out. It's just a matter of getting down and getting focused at race time and just simply doing what he needs to do. Managing corner entry, managing corner exit, just managing how he's getting on the throttle, I think will alleviate a lot of the problems that he's experiencing right now.
All right, focus now goes to Boothie in the middle of his flying lap. It's not going to be a great one. He made a mistake immediately going into turn 1 and got 2 of those tires into the grass. The good news for Boothie, though, is that it's not invalidated, so he can at least put this in for a banker lap. Boy and Stone Shuffle both out on the racetrack right now. I'm seeing a little bit more movement in the pit lane. That looks like it would be V8 Irons who's beginning to come out onto the track now. No movement from Veloce or Fiend, though. AKB in pit lane. Looks like he's starting to come out now. Boothie, due to that turn 1 mistake, has not really engaged the ERS at all. Herbago retires in the pit lane. He's not going to risk destroying the car, so he will be satisfied with that 22.8 by the looks of it. Boothie, I'm right on board with him. He is not touching the ERS at all on this lap, but it still seems to be a relatively competent lap. Won't be amazing, but I think we'll be in the low 120s in general, so again, competent. He's now laying on the ERS for his flyer. Let's see what he can actually do. Veloce finally being able to come out of pit lane. They've let Cully Boy go out already and give him a shot to go ham for a lap. Cully Boy about to come to the line to get a lap in. But my focus is on Boothie. He's put down some amazing driving qualifying before. What can he do here?
Stone Shuffle also trying to make a very strong against XRL Fiend, up almost 2/10, a little over 2/10 on his time entering Sector 3, had a purple Sector 1, purple Sector 2. We could potentially be looking at him to knock Fiend out of pole.
Fiend's already retired. He is not going to go for another shot. He feels very confident with that 21.7. Holly Boy now retires in the pits as well, so he's not going to try and beat his time.
Stone Shuffle across the line, 122.239. Good enough to maintain P4.
I'm still right on board with Boothie right now as he's coming to the last two corners. I don't think this will be a pole lap, but I do think he can get into the 122s without issue here. 122.709 for Boothie. That's good enough for fifth. AKB in the middle of a lap as well. He's the only driver to have not gotten in at least into the 123s this far. Punitive Shoe also on another outlap as well. He's trying to improve. And Irons in the middle of a lap now, trying to squeeze Fiend off the top. So they did not do anything in the Alfa Romeo camp to try and get Cully Boy to give Veloce a draft. So Veloce is going to try and do this all on his own.
And Punitive Shoe starting a flyer here.
Irons aborted. So Irons realizes he does not have what it takes to match Fiend, and he will be satisfied, it looks like, by second place position. What will Veloce do? This will be his only chance. And Veloce really wide there, coming out of 4. But the lap is somehow still legal. But he's down by nearly a full 10. Stone Shuffle up to second, 121.991 now. Boothie is on track, but he's on a cooldown lap, so he's not going to factor in. And Stone Shuffle, he's low on fuel, so I don't think he's going to improve again.
Punitive having an
Oh,
absolute...
and AKB's had an accident. AKB's had an accident there, coming off of 5.
Punitive Shoe up a 10.5 on his time entering Sector 3, looking to make a strong statement for the top 3.
Veloce has aborted. Veloce has had an incident and he has to abort. So now the question is, what can Punitive Shoe do coming to the line? Time's up. Over. Plow. Punitive Shoe trying to at least get into the top 3 rows at the line. Fifth, 122.703.
That is a snap back to reality for any driver from P5 and below. Looks like our top 3 are going to be Fiend, Stone Shuffle, and Irons. Veloce will have to be content with a P4 start.
For Stone Shuffle, though, this is fantastic. Starting on the front row, while his closest championship contenders not even in the top 10. So Stone Shuffle with a great outlook for this race. He could start extending the points lead he's finally earned.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
All right, and now we look at the end result. For AKB, Colibor and Herbago, not great, but for Herbago, at least he was able to get a lap in without totally destroying the car. Very close to destroying it on numerous occasions. Had about 6 or 7 different accidents across the entirety of qualifying. But in the end, he made it stick and will be starting 7th. His entire goal is just going to be to survive.
Indeed, and again, yet another shake-up in Q3, hardly being what we expected. I was looking for Fiend, Veloce, and I I take that back. Fiend, Stone Shuffle, and Collie Boy to be in the top 3. Collie Boy instead relegated to P8, and Irons and Veloce taking up P3 and P4. And I will be back in just a moment.
All right, well, real quickly, we're going to go ahead and look at the driver standings as they are. Well, first we want to talk about the Manufacturers' Championship. At the bottom is still Scuderia AlphaTauri, 74 points. They are the only team to have not yet broken the 100-point barrier, and they need to start turning things around as it's not been great for them this season. Although Flavor does bring home points with some consistency, it's normally points in the low end of the top 10, so closer to single-digit points rather than anything massive. They really need to start turning things around there. For the Alfa Romeo team, 9th, 126 points. That leaves them 1 off of Alpine with 127 points. Williams is 7th. They have 137 points. 6th is McLaren with 154 points. 5th is the Haas team with 162. 4th is Red Bull with 175. 3rd is Mercedes with 242. Just on the outside of the drive for the Manufacturers' Championship, although if things go bad for the top 2, that could change. Aston Martin, they have 263 points right now. They're standing in 2nd. First is Scuderia Ferrari with 279 points right now. And then when you come to the Drivers' Championship, Constant Jet still trying, still looking for his first points this season. Plastic Love hanging out in the 4th position. The 19th position, he has 4 points. Herbago has earned 10 points over the course of the season. XRL Penguin has earned 18. There is a tie for 15th between Fratters and Wild Nissan GTR. They both have 25 points each. Dave Ewart is 14th with 29 points. Boothy116 is 13th with 33 points. XRL Flavor has 39 points. Gelebin, 44 points in 11th. Ocean Lion is 10th with 48. Collie Boy is 9th with 52 points. XRL Snake is 8th with 62. Exits to Spot is 7th with 65. Schumacher SF7 is 6th with 83 points. 5th is XRL Fiend with 127. 4th is V8 Irons with 143 points. 3rd, XRL Gusty with 171 points. 2nd is Chubby Spark with 184 points. And Stone Shuffle leading the championship right now with 186 points at the moment. It should be said that with Irons getting the actual in 3rd position at Brazil, initially it looked like it would be Chubby, but ended up going to Irons. It's actually ended up working more in Irons' favor, although I wouldn't quite call him a championship contender. He is still mathematically eligible to take a run for the title fight. Real quickly as we look at the full grid order and see who's going to be starting this race on mediums or not. Constant Jet and Flavor back there in 17th and 18th. They'll both be starting this race on medium tire compounds. Same with Snake and Gussie, who will be starting 14th and 15th. Then 12th is Chubby Spark. He'll be starting on mediums. Schumacher is going to be starting 11th. He will be starting on the soft tire compound. So possibly we may see a repeat from that team like what we saw at Brazil, where Schumacher tries to part the seas and open the field up for Chubby to follow suit going up through the grid. Right now, we're just standing by, waiting to get underway for the race itself. All right, here we are. Final 15 seconds before we get underway for the race itself.
All right,
Fiend and Stone
I'm
Shuffle
back as
starting
well.
on the front row. Standing start. Who's going to get the good launch off the line? And we see the lights. 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at Australia, and it's a drag race down the straightaway, but it's Veloce who's got a great run on Stone Shuffle, and it's contact right at the front to begin with, and Stone Shuffle, your points leader, is around, gets tagged, and is out. He knocks Collie Boy out. Stone Shuffle will be able to continue, but a massive multi-car accident. Jalebin also out right at the start as well, in an accident further down the order after a collision with AKB. A full course safety car is out from a massive accident after Fiend got a great run, but Stone Shuffle did not get a good run compared to Irons and Veloce. They went 3 wide into turn number 1. The Mercedes went right around, got speared in the side by Collie Boy, and everything has taken a massive change.
And seeing multiple penalties, Fratters with a 5-second penalty for a position gain on XRL Flavor. Saw another penalty there from Herbago for ignoring yellow flags as well.
Goofy has ripped the entire front wing of his car off in the incident. Also, AKB has gotten a penalty for spinning Jalebin and causing the accident there. We're going to try real quickly and get in contact with Jalebin and Collie Boy to see what happened from their perspective, but a nightmarish start to this race for both of them.
Okay, let me see if I can get them in here real quick.
So now we wait to see who's going to have to repair damage and come in. Obviously, Boothy has to come in 7th. The entire front wing ripped off his car. As the other drivers come by, who else has to pit to repair damage? Gusty, he has to repair damage. So 2 of our championship contenders involved in that accident. Air Max back there in 16th, but he'll be able to escape. And Constant Jet will also escape with no issues as well. But 2 championship contenders, Stone Shuffle and Ghosty, both in round. Good news for Stone Shuffle is that the impact they took was in the side of the car. And being as we don't run under full realistic damage rules, he will be able to continue. And may be able to rebound as this race goes on. Right now, nearly the entire field's gathered up. Boothy's about 14 seconds off the back of the grid, but he should be able to close in a bit. I don't know if Gusty's going to catch the back of the grid, but if he does, we may have a real quick return to racing here. And VA Irons now has a penalty for apparently having a collision with Veloce there under the safety car. So Irons in 2nd, now with the penalty for a collision with Veloce under the yellow flag, and that's not going to help him whatsoever.
And
he's going to have to hope that gets removed.
And Schumacher back in P9 has made the interesting decision to go on to the hard tire compound. We're thinking that he may be trying to run this to the end, stretch the hards out and run this to the end.
He could make a single stop. He started this race on the hards, avoid the lap 1 chaos. He's now up in the 9th. He's going to be slower than everyone else on track, but if there are enough yellow flags to keep the field bunched up, he could jump onto the softs and mediums completely on his own decision and catch a lot of other drivers unexpected with the choice. Well, the entire field, 17 cars, has gathered back together. Neither Jalevin or Collie Boy seem to want to talk with us. Now, we got a great view as to what happened between Collie Boy and Stone Shuffle. Didn't get as good of a shot of what happened with Gusty and Jalevin, though, sadly.
It's just an unfortunate situation for all the drivers involved. That's why it's so critical in the early stages, especially on the start, that you constantly have your head on a swivel. You're aware of what's going on and going around. It'll hit you with zero warning.
Jalebin apparently saying in the Discord that he was so angry he immediately turned his Xbox off without second thought. So yeah, that goes to show you the kind of emotion that goes on here.
Absolutely, and you can't blame him. You can't blame him for putting in the level of effort that he did and having your race end that prematurely. It's one of those things that unfortunately it happens in racing, and I don't know what else to say. I feel for him on that, and I understand the emotion that's there.
Well, if the Ferrari camp has any good ideas, they will tell Schumacher to do whatever they can to hold up the field behind him, and that seems to be what he's already doing. Schumacher stays specifically far away from the drivers ahead, and Schumacher needs to do everything he can to try and keep both Gusty and Stone Shuffle behind him and keep them from advancing up the grid, so that way Shelby Spark can take full advantage of this positive turn of events in his favor. As we're coming to the green flag, how does Fiend bunch up the field to the green? He bunches it up well enough that Veloce is already making a run on irons going down into turn 1.
Oh, dive bomb, a little bit of a dive bomb from Veloce. Oh, contact between Veloce and irons.
And this lets Punitive Shoe have the chance to get by Veloce. They're 3 wide for the third position. This didn't work prior. They're going to try and make it work now. There's contact. There's more contact. They're still beating and baiting. Veloce will escape, but he has to run off the circuit in order to make it work. Punitive Shoe will go back in the fifth, and now AKB's around. And AKB around, but he's able to keep the car mostly one piece. The entire front wing ripped off, and both Red Bulls now in the back of the grid as Fiend opens up a 1.3 second gap on the rest of the field now.
Meanwhile, back in P12, Stone Shuffle on Flavor.
Flavor on medium tire, Stone Shuffle on sauce, but Shuffle has spun on those softs, so he's used a little bit more of the tire life than I think he would have wanted to. Obviously that, and he was farther up.
Oh,
he's got a good run on Flavor here.
He's going to get him on the inside. Further up the grid, P6, Chubby on Herbago.
They're both being held up by Punitive Shoe right now. Shoe is not able to keep up with Veloce at all for the moment. Shelby has a good run on Herbago coming onto the main straightaway. Side by side for the 5th position. Shelby inside, Herbago outside. And it will go in favor of the Ferrari driver. Stone Shuffle has already gotten by Ocean Line. He's back into the points paying positions. He'll now start putting his sights on Fratters in 9th.
Flavor to the inside 5.
AlphaTauri teammates battling on the rundown. Air Max has the advantage though when it comes to soft rubber. He'll easily take the position. Now Boothie, who just got by Ponce again, he'll set his sights on Flavor for 13th.
Chubby on Shoe
Chubby Spark.
to the inside.
Neck and neck. Chubby, you making good work in the medium tires, to say the least. He's already gone from 12th up to 4th since the start of this race, but he is about 5 seconds out from Veloce, and it'll be a long time before he can even attempt to try and fight with those drivers.
Constant jet on Flavor to the inside. Got him.
Ocean Line closing in on Stone Shuffle. Schumacher on the hard tire compounds is holding Fratters up, and in turn Stone Shuffle is dealing with so much aero wash that he's kind of stalled out on his move forward in the grid. DRS has been enabled though, so that will start changing how this race plays out going forward.
Gusty on Flavor for P14. Not quite sure what's happening to Flavor. He's dropped several positions this lap alone.
Flavor's not normally the greatest when it comes to pace. He normally makes up most of his positions later on by relying on strategy, going long on tires, and reducing the number of potential track penalties he can get.
Oh, Shuffle on Fratters.
Not able to do anything yet.
Fratters ran a bit wide on the exit to 5, kind of opened the door for Shuffle there a bit. Ocean Lion taking advantage on that as he's coming right up on the gearbox of Stone Shuffle.
You see Ocean Lion looks for a moment to the inside of the Mercedes, but he's not close enough to really do anything about it.
Oh, and
Air Max gets by Ocean
on
Lion.
the outside.
Very nicely done by Air Max. That will put him into the 11th position. Herbago, meanwhile, hanging out behind the Haas of Punitive Shoe, trying to see what he can do to get by. He is being hammered from behind, though, by Snake. Fratters, Stone Shuffle, neck and neck for 9th and 10th. The McLaren's not going to take it. He runs Shuffle partially off the track. Here comes Air Max fighting for 10th. He'll take it from Stone Shuffle. And Veloce has gotten by Irons down the main straight using DRS assist. Now Veloce sets his sights on Fiend, who's nearly 2 seconds up the road.
Snake with a bit of a run on Herbago, looking to the inside.
Air Max, Fratters, neck and neck, and Air Max actually ran Fratters off the circuit just a bit. So now Air Max, he's doing a great job recovering from pole fight. He's up in the 9th.
Stone Shuffle on Fratters for a moment to the outside. He had to back out of it. Fratters with a little bit of a back end squabble coming through 3 into 4. Oh, Shuffle with a great run on Fratters, and you're going to overtake him on the inside.
Outstanding exit, non-DRS overtake, although DRS definitely helped him get set up for that. Herbago has had an instant. He's left himself open for attack from Snake. They're side by side going through sector 2, and Herbago cannot make it on Snake. Now Schumacher is going to try and get by the Mercedes on hard tires.
Ocean Lion taking a little bit of a look at Fratters. Got a great run on him on the exit. Pouring on the DRS. Looking at him on the inside. Is he going to go for it?
Oh, and Herbago's around! Herbago around, coming into sector 3. And it looks like he may have damaged the front wing as well. That's a virtual safety car, and that came just as Veloce and Irons were fighting for a second position as well.
And that has actually now been upgraded to a full safety car.
So the entire field now bunching up. Air Max and Stone Shuffle immediately coming in the pit lane. Constant Jet will elect to jump into the pits as well. Flavor stays out. Gusty stays out. Herbago has to come in to repair the front wing damage. What about Boothie and AKB? AKB must have had an accident on his own that brought out the full safety car because the entire front wing's been ripped off of his Red Bull.
Of note, Stone Shuffle also serving a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane on this stop. So thankfully, it won't have too much of an impact to him, as it did occur just. Actually, wait. Will he serve that this lap or no? Actually, no. He's got to serve that under green flags, I believe.
Well, if it's just a time penalty, a 5-second time penalty, he can serve it by coming in under the safety car to get rid of it. But if it's a drive-through, he will be required to serve it under green flag conditions.
Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad.
But Stone Shuffle just put new tires on, so I'm not sure if he's going to want to serve it now or maybe wait until later, or just hold on to it and hope that it can get removed post-race if he's clever enough. At the front, though, Fiend will pit out of the lead, as will Veloce and Iron, so this might work out well for Chubby Spark. He started the race on medium tires, and he might be able to jump them all. No, Chubby's going to come in as well with the leader, so he wants to get new rubber on that car as well. So will Panda Shoe, who's in 5th. Snake in 6th, though, will elect to stay out. We will likely see Snake inherit the race lead, and it will be Schumacher, SF7, who will inherit 2nd behind him.
So Schumacher making that decision to go to the hard tire compound, potentially race winning move for him.
This now puts Gusty into the points paying positions. Gusty now up in 6th on the medium tires that he started the race on. Irons, who pitted just a bit earlier, he is now going to, well, he's just now pitted, but Irons comes out in 7th. Chubby comes out in 8th on the hard tire compounds. Veloce came out in 9th, so Veloce actually lost his spot to Chubby. Interestingly enough, though, in the Ferrari camp, Chubby has elected to put on hard tire compounds that he might try to make last to the end of this race. Air Max now in 10th because he was able to take advantage of the yellow flag as soon as it came out and jumped into the pits early, so he's now 10th. Punitive Shoe has fallen to 11th though. Stone Shuffle is there in 12th. The only championship contender right now is out of the points, but we've seen so many times in these X3 races that due to the way that yellow flags can fall, drivers who have been out of the top 10 for most of the race get lucky and all of a sudden find themselves in great points paying days as the race goes on. Stone Shuffle desperately hoping that's what happens for him as this event continues.
Absolutely. I have a feeling though, both Snake, Schumacher, and Fiend in P1 through P3 will take substantial issue with that. They know exactly how fast Stone Shuffle is. So they're going to do everything in their power should he get up there to defend against him and keep him off the podium. So it'll be really
right now.
It'll be really interesting to see how that develops.
Well, right now for Snake and Schumacher, this is a relatively good positive windfall for him. Schumacher, being as he started on hard tire compounds, he's jumped up into second, and his tires are going to be working relatively well for him for almost this entire race. And when he does inevitably decide to jump onto a different tire compound, he can jump on the softs and not have to worry for the rest of this race. AKB is just got a time penalty back there in 17th for cutting the track while trying to catch up to the back of the grid. The one that really confuses me, though, is Chubby Spark electing to jump onto hards. I understand that this puts you in a position where you don't have to pit for the rest of this race, but considering we've now seen 2 safety cars in the first 10 laps of this event, I wouldn't have confidence that the hards would last to the end. I think I would rather have the medium tire compounds that I was on earlier and just stay on that to maintain track position, try to open up a gap, so that way when the next safety car comes out, I'd be able to jump in and put on a different set of tires and run that to the end of the race without issue. But I'm not in the Ferrari camp. I can't make the calls for them.
I think if I had to take a wild guess, I would think his logic with that is the time that he's going to gain on not having to stop through the race, forcing other drivers to stop. I don't think he's anticipating another safety car coming out.
All right, speaking of which, safety car is now coming into the pit lane, so we'll be going green on lap 11. A bit more than a third of the way through the race right now. Frater's going to be in a really interesting position because he's not pitted. He's now up in the 4th position, but his soft tires are going to be hurting. He'll have some of the worst tires on the entire grid. Also of note, Flavor is now up there in 5th position on medium tires, and Gusty is there on 6th on his own set of medium tires. So Gusty, recovering from his own lap 1 incident very well, he's now in the best position of your championship contenders. All right, how does Snake and Schumacher bunch up Fiend and the rest of the field coming to the green flag? Pace car is in. Schumacher right behind the McLaren. The McLaren really taking issue. He bunches the entire field up like mad. Fiend alongside Schumacher. He has to back out of it. And it's going to be kind of a messy restart, but it works out well for the McLaren in 1st and 4th.
Bit of a Bottas restart there.
Oh, and Vetter's around. Tires not keeping any grip whatsoever, and he immediately starts hemorrhaging position, falling all the way to 7th. He holds up Chubby Spark and Veloce now in the process. Now Veloce gets run off the track because there's just no room to try and get by the McLaren.
Veloce with a little bit of a look on Spark here. He's trying to shoot the gap between him and Fratters. He's going to overtake Fratters to the outside.
Now Air Max is going to sneak by Fratters. Fratters with no grip at the start of the race immediately goes into the wall coming out of turn 2. Good news, the car is still alive. The bad news, all the track position is lost. Ocean Lion has had an incident of his own as well, and Lion has now fallen to 15th on the circuit as well. Flavor now finds himself up in 4th position, trying to hold off Gusty as the two of them are running down through Sector 3 now.
Fiend gets a great exit on the entry into Sector 3. He's got a good little run on Schumacher here.
Medium tires, fresh mediums will have the advantage over the hards, but Schumacher is playing the long game. He's just trying to maximize track position, so whenever he does pit later on, he's not going to lose as many spots. V8 Irons has to pit. He took damage and all that mess, so now Irons is going to drop out of the top 10. Now it promotes Stone Shuffle back into the points. Once again, all 3 championship points contenders in the points paying positions. Here comes Phenom run for Schumacher for second. Can't make it stick.
Looked like he was going to take a move to the inside there for a moment, thought better of it. Stone Shuffle on punitive shoe. And just as quickly as that fight started, seems to have evaporated.
Vlogche off circuit, and one of the fastest men all day today has had a spin out of the top 10. This will drop him all the way down to the 14th spot now. At the front though, the top 3 all within about a second and a half of each other, and Gusty has now worked his way up in the 4th. He's in position to capitalize if something goes wrong in these battles up ahead.
Looks like we saw the front end step out there for just a moment on Fiend not hooking up at the entry, but he recovers nicely.
Ocean Lion is
Lion's
out. And that is a full course safety car, as that car is stranded right in the middle of the racing line. Full course safety car, and the entire race takes another interesting turn as Schumacher will take advantage of this to get off the hard tires. And he will now have some of the best tires on the entire grid.
See if we can get Ocean Lion in here real quick, figure out what happened to him.
Bad news for Schumacher, though, is this will drop him all the way out of the points-paying positions. All right, coming into the party now is Ocean Lion. Lion, it looked like you were having a relatively decent race, but accident there in Sector 3. What happened that took you out of it?
Well, I just took too much curve and just spun it there. Didn't turn it at the right time. Well.
Pretty straightforward response, to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess the same thing I normally ask in this kind of scenario. Do you think you can rebound next week?
Yeah, probably. Isn't it like Abu Dhabi next week?
It's either Abu Dhabi or China. I'm not sure.
That's Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
All right, well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. It's a shame that we have to talk to you under this circumstance, though.
Okay.
All right, well, so now that is our 3rd DNF of the day. Still not yet halfway through this event. Although it looks like when we go green, we will be halfway through. This continues to change the championship fight now. Stone Shuffle now up in the 8th position. Shelby Spark now in 5th, and Gusty now in 3rd. Schumacher went so long on the hards, but the field did not get spread out as far as he wanted to before that yellow flag came out. He's now on mediums that should last him to the end, but he's restarting 11th, and he's going to have to be fighting his way up through the grid. And Stone Shuffle has now just got a time penalty for a collision with Boothie under the safety car. And the incident is enough that Boothie has elected to come in, so whatever has happened is enough that's hurt Boothie's day, and now Boothie has to pit out of the top 10 position.
Unfortunate situation.
And
And
Shelby Spark now has a penalty for a collision with Flavor.
Yeah, these drivers have got to be mindful of what they're doing under the safety car. There's absolutely no reason that there should be a collision at any time.
It's really bad for Shelby because there's significant front wing damage on that Ferrari. He's going to have to pit to repair it. So now Stone Shuffle has a bunch of time penalties against him, and now Shelby has a time penalty they'll have to serve, and he's going to have to replace the entire front wing on that Ferrari. So it's gone from bad to worse in that team for Gusty, who was the 3rd man, the worst looking man coming into this race in the championship fight. He's now hanging out in 3rd in a great position.
So as it stands on time penalties right now, in P4 we have Flavor with 8 seconds. In P5, we have Chubby with 5 seconds of time penalties. Moving down to Stone Shuffle in P8 with 10 seconds of time penalties. In 12th, AKB with 3 seconds of time penalties. And Velace in P15 with 3 seconds of time penalties.
Not a whole lot of green flag racing means that we've not really had a whole lot of chances to occur a bunch of time penalties for track violations, although I imagine as this race continues that will change.
Absolutely.
But three drivers at the front, all fighting for three very different destinies right now. Fiend trying to launch himself back into a good fight for the P4 points position. Snake, who is trying to fight for his first win in years in the X3 division. A former championship contender, but he's come on some rough times over the last 2 seasons, trying desperately to turn that around. And Gusty trying to capitalize on his rival's misfortunes.
But to quote one of my favorite movies of all time, there can be only one.
Indeed. All right, pace car coming in. No, the pace car's not come in this lap. So we're going to spin another lap under the safety car. Good news for Chubby, though, because he'll be able to come in, serve his time penalty, and replace the front wing. Now, this will drop the Ferrari out of the points-paying positions, but he will have time to make his way up through the field now. Veloce also coming in to repair damage to his car as well. And in the Ferrari pit, they will go ahead and be putting on medium tires. This also now filters Schumacher up into 9th on the medium tires. So that pit stop he made as this yellow flag came out has worked out in his favor. He's now back in the points-paying positions, and everyone ahead of him is on much worse tires at this point. So this could work out in Schumacher's favor. All right, so when we go green, it will be lap 16. It's been a stupidly long safety car, to say the least. But when we go green, it will be lap 16. So a 14-lap sprint, 14-lap run to the end of the race. For Boothie and Veloce, though, who are both outside of the top 10, they are going to be on soft tire compounds trying to cut their way through the grid. It'll be very interesting to see what they can or can't do with that fresh, fast rubber on this race restart. In fact, we're going to see a lot of people, basically everyone from 9th on down, is on way fresher tires than the drivers in 8th and up. And there we are, safety car officially coming in this lap.
It'll be interesting to see if we see another Bottas restart.
Fiend trying to go for 2 race victories in a row here in X3.
Looking from Flavor's position in P4, a little bit of a gap between Fiend and Gusty for the restart. It'll be interesting to see if Flavor's able to take a bit of advantage with that as they come around the final corner.
The Alpine's right on the rear wing of the McLaren. Will he make a move going into 1? He does! Fiend, Snake, side by side going into turn 1 for the lead. Can't make it stick. No change in the top 4 positions at that point. Air Max, though, has worked his way into 5th behind Flavor, so the AlphaTauri team has turned around their horrible qualifying run into top 5 positions right now. The top 3 are running away from the rest of the grid at the moment. AKB hanging out there in 11th behind Irons. AKB was at risk of going a lap down earlier. Now he might be in position to fight back for points-paying positions. Fratters has lost position to Blache. Boothie fight for 13th and 14th, and Shelby Spark is going to get by Fratters at the last possible moment to get back into 15th position now.
Fiend with a great run on Snake coming out of the chicane, going to pull out to the left-hand side. Flat out speed run coming into the corner, and he's got him.
He got him, but he's very, very close in making that stick. Now it's Gusty's turn to try and get by the McLaren. The McLaren has tires that are slightly worse than Gusty's. Only by a lap, though. This will be perfect for Fiend. He can start opening up the gap now and try to run race. Oh, big twitch by Gusty.
Fiend already opening up that gap to 0.8 of a second. Trying to have a bit of a look at Air Max. Air Max having a bit of a look at Flavor.
Here comes Shu to the outside of Air Max into the braking zone, but he's not in position to make it stick. Veloce on his charge up the field. He's gotten by Costin Jet, and he's now into 12th.
Flavor gets a great exit, though. Oh, and Flavor's in. Whoa! Oh, wow.
Significant damage to the car. No, he has no damage to the AlphaTauri, but he has lost a bunch of positions in the process. And again, just like what we saw in the realistic race yesterday, a top 5 run for Flavor turns around all on his own lack of consistency, I guess you could say. Now he is out of the point positions in 12th.
It looked like I was on board with Flavor as that was happening. It looked like he just barely caught the lip of the outside curb on the unsettled the car. That was actually a great save on the part of Flavor. Unfortunately, it cost him almost 7 positions. Hopefully, able to rebound from that. Schumacher trying to have a bit of a look on Herbago here, coming into the final complex of corners.
The number 2 Mercedes driver trying to hold off the number 2 Ferrari driver. DRS has now been enabled, so now the race will start changing hands. Stone Shuffle has not been able to get away from his teammate, and that's going to leave him open to attack from potentially Schumacher. Schumacher can utilize DRS to get by the Mercedes. Big mistake by Veloce. The Herbago's around. And Schumacher loses the position to AK because Schumacher made contact with Herbago as he went around. Now Schumacher fighting with AKB for that position. V Irons capitalized. He was able to get by into 7th position.
Boothie on Flavor. Chevy on Boothie. The fight shaping up for P11, 12, and 13.
Boothie on Sauce, Flavor on very worn mediums. Chubby on very slightly worn mediums.
Chubby gets a
Flavor
great
really
run.
holding up Boothie.
Chubby with a good run on the outside. Boothie. Oh, collision between Boothie and Chubby.
And there's wing damage. There's wing damage now to Chubby, and that's going to ruin Chubby's day and likely take him out of any chance to rebound in the points scenario. This is perfect for Gusty, who is still hanging out in 3rd.
I hate to be the one to call it like this. It looks like Boothie might have brake checked him.
It's not that Boothie's brake checking him. Flavor is just so slow on those worn out tires that Boothie's not able to get alongside. So Boothie has to back out in almost every single corner, and there's nothing that Shelby can do. Boothie has to pit as well to repair damage to his car that he's taken trying to get by Flavor.
Yeah, it all just happened so fast. So fast. Irons on Shuffle. To the inside. No.
Air Max still there hanging out behind Punitive Shu trying to fight for the 4th position. Air Max has the medium tires. Shu has hards. Incident farther back. That's Fratters who has had a spin coming out of turn number 4. Gusty is right there behind Snake. Fiend has already opened up a 3.7-second gap on them. So Fiend looking to try and go back-to-back victories. It's looking very likely right now for him. Veloce, another time penalty back there in 9th, but he has caught Schumacher for 8th position now.
Schumacher putting significant pressure on Irons. Irons putting pressure on Stone Shuffle, trying to force the mistake.
And Shuffle is right there behind Air Max, who's doing his own run against Punitive Shu. So for Shu, it's not going to be great coming onto the main straight. Snake is pitting now, 2nd position now.
And Fiend now having opened up an almost 5-second gap on Gusty. And Air Max is going to overtake Shu for P3.
And that will work out well for him, but now the DRS advantage is going to go. Oh, and someone's around! That's Stone Shuffle! Another championship contender! Stone Shuffle, the same thing that happened on lap 1 now happens again, and Shuffle is out. And the other Mercedes has just had an exit now, back there in sector 3, full course safety car.
Oh, this race just continues to keep getting turned on its head the further in we go, and Fratters now with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
And Stone Shuffle running 8th now, but the entire front ring's ripped off the car. He's not going to be able to catch the drivers ahead. In fact, he might actually end up having to sacrifice and cede that position to Flavor. So this could be good, because if Chubby, Boothie, and Snake all are able to go fast enough under the safety car, they might be able to close in and get back ahead of Stone Shuffle when he pits to repair the damage to that car. Chubby has fresh, soft tires on his machine also. This has turned everything around, as your championship points leader has had his second accident today, and it's late enough in this day that I don't know if he'll be able to recover from it.
Okay, what's going on back here with Velace and Schumacher? Surely they realize they're in the safety car. I'm not sure why Velace is trying to overtake Schumacher.
Schumacher may have made a mistake. All right, Fiend now pits out of the top position. Gusty will likely follow him into the pits, as will Air Max, as will Punitive Shoe. V8 Irons will pit. Schumacher is going to stay out. He wants to stay on these medium tires to the end of this race. Veloce in the same position.
What is Velace doing? What is Velace doing here?
Maybe he's trying to get into his head.
There's absolutely no reason for it under a safety car.
And Schumacher has been disqualified for ignoring the safety car. But it was Velace who was being abnormally aggressive.
That's something that's going to definitely be looked at by the stewards here, because I'm sorry, I don't care who you are under a safety car. There's absolutely no reason for that level of aggression. Absolutely none.
If you think it was that bad, you can go ahead, record the last few minutes and report it. I was not focusing only on them that entire time, and I typically won't make reports. But
yeah,
that's definitely one of the weirdest scenarios I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
All right, coming to the party now is Schumacher SF7. Shumi, go ahead, include your audio. Disqualified, what was the reason?
I'm taking the safety car because I was in the lead, but I was so concentrating on the car behind me being an absolute knob.
Yeah, I had seen from our vantage up here in the booth where it looks like Velace had tried to overtake you
several times, yeah,
multiple times. Was he not aware that it was under that we're under safety car conditions? I mean, I'm trying to understand the logic of what happened.
I don't know. I was keeping to Delta.
Well, I will say this. I am not in a position. I will not make a report, but you can always go and record the last 5 minutes off your Xbox. Shame to see that happen to you like that.
I don't know why he was so far up the arse. I guess he has a problem with the Ferrari.
It's just so unfortunate to see you disqualified over something like this. It's an absolute shame. I'm sure there's a lot of emotion rolling around in your head right now. In terms of next week, do you think you'll be able to rebound from this situation, put on a stronger performance next week?
My main strategy is now to hold the whole field up, do what I can to get my teammate to up the field. That's all that matters. If I have to go 10% pace, 20% pace, I will go drive slower on purpose. I don't care. There's nothing in the rules against it. So as long as I'm not driving dangerously, it's fine.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, massive respect for you being willing to play the team game in Ferrari camp. Mad respect for you for being willing to do that.
Yes. Speak to you guys later.
Well, the entire field's gathered up. Interesting things to consider, though. Veloce has a time penalty. We don't know how post-race penalties may or may not go against him, though. But outside of Veloce, everyone in the top 6, no time penalties. Everyone from 7th on back to 13th, lots of time penalties. And then you have Fratters back there in 14th, no time penalties. So right now, again, for Gusty, this is perfect because he's shaping up to finish 3rd, maybe even 2nd, maybe even winning this race. This could really turn the championship on its head again because, again, neither of your other 2 championship fighters right now are in the points-paying positions.
It's just it's very interesting scenario we're presented with here. And we see now the safety car will be coming in this lap. Veloce already starting to back the field up.
How aggressively does Veloce back the field up coming to the green flag? That's the newest question now. Something gone wrong with Boothie and Flavor, because Boothie's just snuck by Flavor under the safety car. Fiend right there behind Veloce.
Whoa.
Oh, Veloce very nearly
What
swerves
the?
right into Fiend. Nearly does it twice in a row. He still has the field backed up. Now he goes with the entire field's on top of each other. This is the messiest restart we've had all day. AKB crashes right at the start and loses a bunch of positions. Irons gets by Pierre to shoot farther up. This is a complete mess.
I would not be surprised to see Veloce post-race get done for an unsafe restart. That's just ridiculous.
Air Max, Snake, and Max is into the wall. Air Max, Snake, neck and neck for position. Air Max in the wall with the entire front wing ripped off. Chubby up into ninth now.
Constant having a bit of a look at Irons here. Flavor having a look at AKB as well.
Constant Jet in 7th position with 7 laps to go. Jet's fighting to try and get his first points of his season. This may be where he needs to get it done.
Flavor back here just trying to break into the points, putting significant pressure on AKB.
Chubby is now by Boothie, so Chubby now up into the 8th spot.
Oh, AKB goes.
AKB is off.
He's off.
And that might be a full course safety car, I'm not sure, but AKB out of the race, so now only one Red Bull left, and it's the one running in 3rd right now. Can you try and get AKB into the party at curiosity?
Gotcha.
Veloce has now set the fastest lap. He has opened up a 0.7 gap on Fiend. Fiend, though, does not have time penalties, but Veloce does, and Fiend's going to try and utilize that in his favor. He does not need to overtake the Alfa Romeo in order to win this race. For Gusty, though, he needs to close in on Fiend and maximize points, because this has been a horrible day for Stone Shuffle and Shelby Smart. We're fighting farther back. Shelby now behind Constant Jet for the 7th position. Not close up to make a move yet, but Jet did not have a good run coming out of 5. Shelby getting right beneath the Alpine's rear wing. Now he looks to the outside. The Alpine taking a very passive defensive line. Does Shelby hold it on the outside? He will, and will make the overtake stick. Now it's Boothie's turn to try and get by Constant Jet. Fiend gets a time penalty, and now everything changes because Fiend's gonna have to try and run down Veloce, and Gusty now is in a position that he might inherit the race win off of the penalties of the drivers ahead.
And AKB has left the session, so it doesn't look like we're gonna be able to get him in here.
It will be 5 laps to go as Veloce crosses. Fiend now has a time penalty, and he has to work to overtake Veloce. Although in Fiend's favor, though, Fiend only has 3 seconds, Veloce has 9 seconds worth of penalties.
Stone on Flavor.
DRS enabled. Stone Shuffle trying to get by Flavor. He knows that if he can get by the AlphaTauri, this will put him back into the points-paying position. Ooh, big twitch by Stone Shuffle coming, though, out of turn 2. Constant Jet trying to defend against Boothie. Can't keep the Alpine happy, though. Going through 3 and 4, he'll now drop to 9th. Constant Jet trying desperately just to earn a point this season. This is his best chance, but he needs to stay ahead of Flavor and Stone Shuffle behind him and minimize his time penalties.
Flavor gets a good exit. Stone Shuffle pouring on DRS. Don't think he's going to be able to get him, though.
Farther up the grid, Chubby Spark is now right there behind V8 Irons for the 6th spot. These two have had a bit of a feud earlier in the season, and Irons right now is in a great position that he and his teammate Boothie could bring back a bunch of points for the Aston Martin team. They're ranked 6th and 8, while the only Ferrari left in the race is currently in 7th. For the lead, though, is Fiend against Veloce. Fiend right behind Veloce down the main straightaway, but he has to back out a bunch going through turns 1 and 2. He loses a bunch of time. He's closing back in with DRS on the second straightaway, but is even farther up the back of the Alfa Romeo going into 3 now.
Fiend pouring on every bit of ERS he's got just to try to keep pace with Veloce.
Snake is off! And Snake goes off there coming out 4, so this will drop him to 7th, maybe even 8th position depending on Boothie. And Boothie spun! Boothie spins all on his own now, coming out of 3, and this will drop him out of the points paying positions.
He's 3.
Oh, and he's not the only one. Flavor has spun as well.
Oh.
Flavor spins out of 4. So now Stone Shuffle is up in the 8th spot. Chubby is up into 6th. Fratters gets a time penalty now, and Snake is hanging out in 9th.
Like you said, the Fiend's gonna have to try to conserve some kind of PRS if he wants to have any hope of trying to get a run at Veloce. Veloce maintaining a 5 to 6/10 gap in front of him consistently through Sector 3.
The good news, though, for Fiend is that the top 2 have opened up more than 3 seconds on Gusty, and Veloce has 9 seconds worth of time penalty, while Fiend only has 3. Fiend just needs to hang out behind Veloce in order to win this race. Chubby has a run on V8 irons down the main straightaway, but he's not close enough to do anything there. He's got another run, though, coming down the second straight.
Gonna break
he
to
pops up
the
with DRS.
outside.
Oh, can't make it. Irons blocks him,
Move
though.
to the inside now.
Stone Shuffle gets by Kossinjev for 7th. And Gusty has lost a position of punitive shoe now. So Gusty falling off the pace as this race is going on, and it's reducing the amount of points he could walk out of here with. Chubby has another run on V8 irons right now, and they're both closing on punitive shoe and Gusty ahead. This could work out well
Chubby
for
with a
Spark.
switch.
Spark might be able to get a run at Gusty if he can just get by the Aston Martin. At the front, Fiend within 4/10 of Veloce. How hard does he push to try and get by? These two are 4.6 seconds away from the Hasa punitive shoe. But if Fiend gets another time penalty, the win would go back in Shoe's favor. Spark has another good run on V8 irons down the straight. The problem, irons close enough to Gusty to get DRS to use as a defensive measure now. Gusty can't do anything to punitive shoe by the looks of it. Seems like at this point of the race, most of the battles have pretty much stalled out. Unless the driver ahead makes a mistake, no one seems to be able to get by the drivers ahead. At the front, Fiend managing a 3-second time penalty. Oh, Veloci's into the grass. That will let Fiend close in just a bit, but it's not in a good overtaking zone.
Fortunately, Fiend continuing to close that gap. He just needs to push right now.
Fiend needs to push, but he doesn't need to overtake Veloce. Fiend's number one focus needs to be to stay more than 3 seconds ahead of punitive shoe in third. Gusty continues to fall off the pace as this race is going on, but it looks like he'll still be ahead of V8 irons and Chubby Spark. Spark has a great run on irons going down the third DRS straight. He looks to the inside, but he's not close enough to make a dive. And he needs irons to get by Gusty, or he needs to get by irons somehow because he wants to get by that Red Bull. And Chubby's just spun all on his own now.
And Fiend getting a great run out of Veloce on the final corner. He's going to make a move to the inside. Oh, and Veloce
can't make it stick.
Deny the move. Veloce.
Oh, Veloci's into the grass! And that's it! Fiend's by! But Veloce is fighting back! Drag race! And Chubby Spark has had an incident with Fratters now! Chubby, again, just like what happened at Japan, a spin at the end of the race, he might not even walk out here with points! Veloce now behind Fiend, but he has 9 seconds of time penalties, and he's likely going to lose second, third, maybe even fourth or fifth to punitive shoe and Gusty behind. Stone Shuffle has recovered from 2 accidents, and it looks like he's going to walk out here in 6th position at race's end.
But again, absolutely fabulous run out of Fiend in the closing lap here to pretty much salt this one away. Vlade trying to get a run. Don't think he's got enough, though.
Coming to the checkered flag this time around. Fiends dominated a large part of this race. Veloce used track position to give him trouble, but Fiends maximized everything that he needed to. It's going to be back-to-back wins for XRL Fiend, coming home with the race win. Veloce will be the second driver to cross the line, but it looks like it's actually going to be Punitive Shoe who will take second spot. Then XRL Gusty rebounding his championship fights. He'll be third.
Punitive Shoe's got the win.
Oh, Shu was close enough to overtake Fiend, so it's the Haas of Punitive Shoe who's going to get it.
Oh my. My, oh my.
7th position across the line is Constant Jet. Constant Jet might walk out of here with points. Fratters will cross the line. He'll take 8th. 9th is going to be Boothie by the looks of it. So great job for the Aston Martin team coming home 5th and 9th in the end by the looks of it. And Chubby Spark is going to have to settle with 10th after spinning in the last 2 laps behind V8 Irons. The championship fight continues to upend itself. All 3 finish in the points paying positions, but it's going to be Gusty who really walks out here on a good day, and it looks like Constant Jet may have finally finished a race with points. And for the AlphaTauris, both of them will finish the race, but neither of them will finish with points. Frustration on that part.
We're going to see if we can get the top 3 finishers in here real quick. And coming into the party now is Punitive Shoe. Punitive, if you could please include your audio. Walk us through that race for you. We see on penalty countback that you did come away with the win. Just go ahead and walk us through.
I don't honestly know what to say. This is my first win in a league race, so I'm literally over the moon. I pushed so hard on the last 2 laps to close the gap because I knew they both had penalties. And I don't know, just nipped it just at the end. I had enough ERS just to do it. But overall, my race was amazing. I'd done the same strategy that I did in Dev yesterday. So to come away with a win, I'm amazed.
It's absolutely outstanding performance from you. Congratulations on your first XRL win. Insane. Do you have anything for Punitive?
Well, obviously you didn't start out with a great race, but you made that strategy work. At any point, did you honestly think you had a shot at the win today, or were you just thinking points?
Well, I started off with having a bad. I had no setup. My game reset itself. All my camera angles were messed up. I couldn't see what I was doing. I had to change my camera angles. That's why I didn't go out in Q3 until like 5 minutes to go. But you know, I didn't think I had any shot of winning this race whatsoever. But yeah, I was just thinking points. You know, points for Haas would be points for Haas. But to come away with 25, I'll take it.
All right.
Yeah, a bunch of points for Haas. It seems like this entire weekend has been very good for Haas drivers, to say the least.
And once again, Punitive, just outstanding run from you. Congratulations on that win. We're going to go ahead and move our focus now to XRL Fiend. Fiend, fabulous run right in the closing laps. Only to have the win snatched right out of your hands at the very end on penalty countback. Go ahead and walk us through your race.
Yeah, well done, Punitive. Good result. Yeah, it started off okay, and then safety car came out and on lap 1, so I stayed out, and then it came out again on lap 8. So I went to I was going to do a 2-stop at that point, so I went onto the mediums behind Snake and Schumacher. Schumacher was very difficult to get past, so I was kind of worried about that for a few laps, and then it came out again. So I went onto mediums.
Now, one thing that I noticed in the closing laps, you were draining your ERS down to the bare minimum to try to keep pace with Veloce. Now, considering where the penalties were, what was your reasoning in relying on ERS that much? It didn't seem with the penalty gap that you had that you really needed to push all that much. So take us through your thought process on that specifically.
I wasn't necessarily looking at Veloce ahead, but I was looking at the guys behind. You know, I wanted the 3 seconds. I needed the 3 seconds to win the race. Just so happened that I got close enough to overtake Veloce, which in hindsight was a bad idea because I lost DRS. DRS, which meant I was slower. Sorry.
But still, regardless of where you ended up on penalty countback, still an absolutely fabulous run for you, especially in the closing laps.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Not happy about finishing P2, but I'd already, it's a podium, so you can't really complain, can you?
All right, now, Fiend, now the question is, you had that long string of DNFs in the middle of the season. You won last week. Now you come home second today. Do you think everything's finally turned around? Do you think, even though it'd be very unlikely, do you think you can make a very late season run for the championship? Or do you think that fourth is the best you can get?
Having a look now at the standings, I reckon I could push for at least fourth, maybe even third. Not sure about the top two right now, but if Stone Shuffle finished 6th and Chubby finished 10th. Who knows? I definitely think third could be on the cards, though.
All right, well, outstanding job, Fiend. And now, one other thing I do want to say, Fiend, your team took home a good chunk of points today, and it wasn't only to you. I want to go ahead and talk real quickly to Constant Jet. Constant, go ahead, include your audio. Points, finally, at the end of an X3 race this season. What do you have to say about your race today?
Yay! Actually got points on the board.
I have to say something. That yay gave me flashbacks to Timmy from an old MTV show called Crank Yankers.
Okay.
All right, so Constant, obviously a very interesting and rough day. It seemed like top 10 wasn't even on the table for you whatsoever. But after that last restart, you missed at least 6 different instances in the final 10 laps. What in the world happened to the end of the race from your perspective?
There was a big lump of poo in my pants, thinking I was going to actually hit one of them. And I was like, please don't, because I'll ruin my race. But the one with, I think it was Chubby going off at the last turn, was it? It was somewhere around there.
Yeah, ran off 2 laps to go at the third to last turn.
I genuinely thought he was going to come back on track and actually push me into a wall, because I saw him spinning and it looked like he was just going to come straight back up on track. But I think the best thing for me is when I actually had to pit after a safety car. It was the second safety car. When I hit I can't remember who I hit, but I also hit the wall and I had to pit for front wing. I think that was the best thing for me, to be honest, because I was just out on my own and just didn't have anyone in front of me to do anything. So that was probably the best situation for me.
All right, well, great job to both Alpine drivers. Good job finally bringing home points. Jet, I said that would happen. I didn't expect it would be this soon, but congratulations.
I genuinely thought it'd be next week, but yeah, it's coming this week. Happy days.
All right, well, that will pretty much wrap it up. We've not been able to make any contact with Gusty, sadly. A very interesting day when it came to the championship fight, though, with Chubby Spark and Stone Shuffle involved in numerous incidents throughout the day, relegating them not even in the top 5. And then Gusty actually ends up coming home third today. So, yeah, once again, the championship gets upended, and I think Gusty might be able to take the points lead from Stone Shuffle leaving today's event. So, definitely could be a very interesting next few races, which has been the case this entire season, the championship fight, to say the least. Alright, well, unless anyone else has anything else to say, we can probably start wrapping up this broadcast.
Indeed. I do want to give a shout out to every driver that was in the race today. Some absolutely fantastic battles on track, and looking forward to more of the same next week.
Also, I do want to give credit real quickly to Airmax 8841. He finished 12th and did get the fastest lap point, so there will be at least 1 point from the AlphaTauri drivers in the AlphaTauri camp today, but they do still need to turn things around. Anyways, next week, we believe it's going to be the Abu Dhabi event, so feel free to check that out. However, in a little bit less than an hour's time on the main channel, you can catch the last X2 race at Australia. Until then, though, I've been your host, Insane Layer 13. I've been joined by XRL Raptor today, and I want to say